Hey y'all, today we have Chris Franklin, who, if you've listened to this show before, you're very familiar with. Of course, also Matt Rodgers from the Honorable Mention podcast. We got Chris Franklin from NJ.com, always in the locker room, always around the Eagles facility. I know you're a busy guy, so we can just go ahead and jump into it. You got a wealth of knowledge. I always want to make sure that people get the nuggets that are the shareable ones. Yes, the shareable nuggets. You keep yourself, though, sir. And,
oh yeah, I still want to go back in that locker room eventually. So yeah, there's some things I'm
going to keep exactly. That's the way to stay in the business. You gotta do what you can. 49ers all-pro linebacker today, time stamping this, of course, this is November 30th. He made some comments that I was really pleased by. He said, I'm kind of over that whole thing, referring to last year's NFC Championship. I know some of our players throughout the offseason were saying stuff about it. Honestly, I wish we hadn't. You can sit there and make excuses about the whole Brock Purdy situation, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, they beat us. They earned that. Do you think that I would feel like be the leader of their team, kind of taking that public stance? Do you think that kind of softens some of that bulletin board material? Maybe some of those players might be like, oh, okay, maybe they do, they're not pissing us off as bad.
I think it's getting to that point in the time of the week now where you got to really hunker down, especially in the Thursday. Thursday is a really big practice day where you start to really install a lot of your game plan, with Friday being the red zone stuff. So I think that was more of the way of saying, listen, we got it out of our system for the most part. Let's go focus on trying to beat them in their place so we can go ahead and talk afterwards and start talking all that smack later on. But it is for I think that's the mark of a good leader. It forced somebody to stop that from happening. Should have stopped it after the initial championship game itself. I know they hurt. If I lost the NFC championship game, I'd be hurt too. Like, got so close to Super Bowl, you lost. But after a while, you just gotta say, you know what, cut the losses. And I'm shocked to win it this far into the offseason, and so much that we talked today.
This wasn't Eagles franchise where the Eagles get to take over the GM-ship of the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers decided to go bargain basement with their quarterback. The entire room didn't suit enough guys. So you get to load up in other areas. I mean, they are a loaded football team. They are.
This all could have been avoided if Kyle Shanahan just decided not to put a tight end to block Hassan Reddick. All this would have been avoided if you just had it. If you had your tackle go out.
Hassan might have got him on the next play, though.
No. You don't put, and you did it twice. They got away with it first by him hitting in with that one too, and he come back. Oh, I can survive this. No, you stay. Kyle said, if anything, that whole loss, no matter if you're the head coach and you didn't prepare your guys, or you're a play caller like him and doing the scheme, that was all on Kyle Shanahan. It wasn't upon the players themselves.
Of course, Hassan Reddick came off right tackle on that play, or right tackle / tight end that just got blown past like they weren't even there. The Eagles right tackle, Lane Johnson, says he's ready to roll. You think that means that they're going to be able to I feel like in the more recent weeks, the Eagles have been gashing folks for larger runs, which is, making sure that the numbers look okay, but they're not consistently just stuffing it down, the other team. And so do you think that the return of Lane Johnson will allow them to do that? Or is this going to be a really grinded out, 26 carries for 98 yards kind of game?
I think it depends on a couple of things. I think, first of all, he's a full participant in practice Thursday, which is a big key side that he's going to be back. And we all know how important that leg kick is for him to get back in the pass set. So I think the Eagles offense is completely open now. They'll still probably chip with those running backs just to throw off Nick Bosa and try to get that elbow, that shoulder hurt a little, like a little sore afterwards when he does pass rush. But looking overall, I think it just matters of how much it's going to rain again, because rain's in the forecast, and keep the ball to the ground. Hey, where now? If I'm them, I'm running directly off the first quarter or two, running directly at Chase Young and run directly at Nick Bosa to try to wear him down a little bit.
Yes.
So when it comes to the second half, they're not as effective. So I think that's the key thing for that one too. But I don't know how the Niners defense. I think they're a little. I still think they're a little bit better to run and give them credit for. But overall, I mean, the fifth ranked defense, they're tough on that unit. So it's not going to be easy, but it's doable.
Absolutely. Of course, surprise news of the day. Zach Ertz asked to be cut by the Cardinals, was cut, received the his wish. You think that he makes it through to waivers to the Philadelphia Eagles for a reunion to wear 86 for a second ring?
I think he does. I think he goes through waivers. I don't think the Eagles get him. I just don't. In terms of,
wow.
well, yeah, in terms of they don't use. If this was Doug Peterson here and they use a lot of 12 personnel, then I think that would be a time where you bring them on there because you use two times that's a lot and you throw out of it. Now, if you add Zach Ertz, I don't know how you give him the ball consistently enough for it to be a factor because you use a lot of three wide receiver sets to stretch the field and stuff like that. You got Julio Jones. Like I don't know where you get him the targets to make him effective because Goddard, in my opinion, I think Goddard's coming back against the Cowboys next week. So I don't see where you have that, and to have him bring him back because that means you got to get rid of Stoll or you got to get rid of Calcaterra. And to me, Stoll's your best blocking tight end, so you got to keep that. Calcaterra, they like him a lot, even though he's hurt. They like him a lot, and got Alberto too. So I just don't foresee a spot for him because they don't run a lot of 12 personnel, and you still have Goddard here. So
Goddard's the man for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's it. It just brings a weird dynamic back. Like, hey, took your job so much that you want to leave. Sorry. Hey, welcome back, guy. Yeah. I just don't see it in that thing. It's nice. It'd be a nice storybook ending, if he came back, but I think he falls through waivers and he signs somewhere and gets that. I mean, the fact that he wanted to give up a game check and was like, yeah, Cardinals, here's my game check for this week. Yeah, I'm out. Just get me out of here. And he gave up that. I was shocked about that, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't foresee it being him coming back at least this year or anything like that.
So you said you think Dallas Goedert is out for this week. This is just your guess. I mean, I don't want you to, you might have, absolutely.
I think he's out because especially Thursday, if he missed 2 practices in a row, even if Wednesday's a walkthrough, I mean, there's red flags going up. And then when you look at Friday's the one you really confirm it. Just, even though we get 5 minutes to see it, that's like, okay, who's on the field, who's practicing, all that stuff. And the way he was going today, just catching the ball like I think he's out at least for at least this week, and then you ramp him up next week.
Yeah, all right. Fletcher Cox.
Same thing. I mean, he was on. Even though I'm starting to trend at first, I thought there was an outside chance he could play. But now I'm trending on the spot that he wasn't. He's not because we saw him today. He was using the elastic band moving around, and then when practice started to ramp up a little bit and defense started doing some of the stuff, then he went inside. So I don't think he's going to be available, and I think that they will get Milton Williams back, which helps. So you get a good run defender, and it helps out with you don't have to have Jalen Carter playing 76, 78 snaps and Jordan Davis playing 62 snaps, so that helps you out. But yeah, he'll be on. If I'm them, he'll be not his head isn't traveling. He'll be on the sidelines. He'll be that big brother role. He'll be in their ear saying, "Hey, look for this, look for that. Don't let this guy do this or that." So he'll be around to help out. But yeah, I'm trending to he's like him being out.
You brought up Zach Cunningham. What do you think about Cunningham out?
Another one. Yeah, he and Grant Calcaterra were on the side. Like they have 3 main fields, and he was on a far field working with Grant Calcaterra, and they were doing conditioning, which I thought it was good to see like he was moving around a little bit better just from what I saw in that limited time. But it's still one of those things where you don't want to rush it back, especially with him. So I don't think he's playing. And the fact that they elevated, they waived Josiah Scott, added Ben Van Summer into the active roster because he was out of elevations. In fact, you needed him there. I think that was a telling thing. Like, yeah, he's out. He's out.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Evans.
Yeah, at first it was that last when they opened that roster. I was like, all right, it looks more like Van Sumeren, or maybe Evans comes back. But yeah, I think I think next Tuesday. Well, I think next Monday, depending on what happens with a certain linebacker who's a free agent. Yes. Depending on what happens there, if he decides to sign with the Eagles, I think you'll see a flurry of moves on Monday officially. And that's one of them is going to include Evans because they need to create a spot for him too.
Absolutely.
I'm not waiving him. And then because the problem, it's a good problem for the Eagles, but the problem is going to be, who do you release? You're not releasing Ringo because you got a lot invested in him. Right. You're not releasing Ricks because teams are going to scoop him up. You're starting to look at your offensive line. You don't want to mess with the depth there. Defensive line, you're not releasing Rojomo, I don't think, because they haven't to. Maybe they've done that before. I think still some teams still have some interest in them too, and you can see some teams going pick them up because they know like they'll pick them up like, hey, tell us a little bit about the system. Now, I mean, you can open up a spot with Ben Van Sumeren, but them putting on an active roster, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody try to take a shot at him, maybe like a team top, just say, all right, let's just bring him in. So you get Van Sumeren's one move they can make to open up a spot. They just need to open up a second one. And Opeta's open. I mean, and this is all speculation. I have no knowledge whatsoever. But you don't want to mess with Fred Johnson because you need a backup left tackle, but that's an option there. I just don't know where they do it. I mean, you don't want to mess with Penny. They've been saving him, but it's so many. They have a really tough. Somebody's going to be on this roster, and we're going to be looking like, what? Yeah, it's tough unless somebody all of a sudden, they play the game and my hammy hurts or wow my back or something like you can't. Something's not feeling right. IR, like really? This haven't happened to that team at all. This haven't happened to this team at all.
To the rules and get the check.
If you see somebody on especially because they can wait till Saturday. Well, yeah, they can wait till Saturday when it comes to elevation stuff. But you see in the middle of the week somebody out of nowhere like knee injury, back injury, thigh injury, like hammy, groin, like, and then like, oh, they're gonna put him on IR to save him for next one. Okay, it feels like one of those things. So that's something to watch for everybody to see what happens.
Does Grant Calcaterra make it into this game?
No, he was with Cunningham. And we see him in the locker room, but yeah, he was out running on the side. He was participating in some of these drills and stuff like that too. But yeah, he's going to be out. So you're going to see Alberto, you're going to see Jack Stoll and Noah Togiai because they have the elevations for him. They only elevated him once. He'll probably be elevated for a second time, and those are your three going in there. But we probably will see. They didn't get a lot of snaps. Alberto didn't get a lot of snaps. Noah Togiai didn't get a lot of snaps. Although I think you'll see a lot more of that 11 personnel, more 3 wide receiver. And them rotating between Julio, Zacchaeus, and Watkins, depending on the situation and the package they want to run.
So the Seahawks game, Eagles versus Seahawks on 12/17 has been flexed to Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
You think that game's gonna, be one of those that are really flex worthy?
It's flex worthy, much to the chagrin of all of us in the media. If you guys could have heard a collective groan that was going through when they started popping up on our phones with it, like, oh come on, and players don't like it. There's a few guys in there that were legit upset because I can see that too because I mean it's good that you're good. I can see it like you're good, you're rolling and everything else, but the prime time once everybody started to see like, wow, the Eagles are pulling in the numbers they were for a broadcast. Once those 2 games happen, it's like, and Fox already declared for some reason the Cowboys and the Bills were the game of the week. So they couldn't do that. I mean, they had to be and this is all speculation too, but there has to be a little, hey, we owe you one, Fox, for giving up that second game. Maybe give them something else in another week. That's good to balance that out because that was another marquee game. But it will be because I think the Seahawks will be fighting for their playoff lives, and I think the Eagles will. That's a game I think they'll be up for the. They'll still. I think that's a game they'll be up to clinch, and clinch the division at that point too. I don't think that might be a game where everything's on the line, and then you never know. But I think it's more of a clinch the division type scenario. I don't think they'll clinch the 1 seed, depending on kind of foreshadowing here, depending on what happens these next 2 games.
Yeah, the Seahawks will be fighting for their lives because they have Cowboys, then they have some combination of the Niners and the Eagles. It's the not Cowboys, the Cowboys, Niners, then the Eagles.
Yeah,
So it's a rough 3 weeks.
And especially having Geno getting that elbow injury of all times for him to get an elbow injury and they're not playing as well as he was, the defense struggling. That was extremely inopportune for them. And yeah, I think they'll still be in the hunt. They'll probably be in that 6-7 area. Hopefully he's trying to fight off. And the Rams all of a sudden, they're starting to find a footing. So it's going to be tough, but it's still going to be of note, I believe.
So talking about I said I thought there's going to be a rough 3 weeks for the Seahawks. You think that they keep it within a score, a touchdown?
Tonight, or against the Eagles or against the Cowboys?
Against the Cowboys.
It just smells of one of those games where it's close all the way to the third quarter, and then Dallas pulls away, and then you look at the final score like that game wasn't close. Like it probably, I can see it being like 31-17. Yeah, it's like this game's all close. Like I can see like for all these days, for most of the games, 20-17, and then see maybe Geno fumbles the ball, throws an interception. Final score is like 34-17. It's like this game wasn't close at all. Like no, it's close for the most part. And the Cowboys at home when they're beating against teams that are at I think they'll win. I think the Cowboys will win, but the score's going to be deceptive when all of a sudden it's like, yeah.
Okay, so they will. Yeah. Okay, so they'll pummel a little bit.
Points. Yeah, I'll take the Cowboys on the points in that one. I would take that personally.
One of the games of the week, of course, aside from the one that you may know a thing or two about, is Denver at Houston, 2 AFC wildcard, contenders. Seriously, what do you think about that one? Houston is favored by 3.5 in that one.
I thought the Broncos were dead. I thought they were dead. Like, yeah, Sean Payton, like one and done type. Like seeing some of the way they were doing, but they found a way to turn things around. And by seeing what they've done after everything is done, I think Russell Wilson looks like he's finally in tune to what Sean Payton is doing. I look at this. I think Denver wins. I really do. Even though CJ Stroud played out his mind, and it's hard to believe as a rookie he's really truly going to be an MVP candidate. I think he finishes top 5, depending on what the record is. I think he's played that well, but Denver's just on a roll right now, and
a lot of people are feeling Denver right now.
I really am, and they're due for a clunker just because just going in there, but they're playing too well, and I think and the Texans, even though DeMeco Ryans is doing a great job, I think they're playing up way above expectations right now for that. Yeah. And Denver's got the better roster than me and weapons. Although if Marvin Mims does not play, it changes some. I think a little bit too, but I think overall Denver wins this game. And that 3.5 too. Even if I was rooting for Texans or thinking about taking the Texans,
yep, that
hook, that 3.5, I'm like. Give me that Denver. Yeah. Give me Denver with that half for it part. Nah.
Yes. KC got that 6.5. What are you thinking on that one?
It's in Green Bay. Jordan Love all of a sudden seems like his team. I saw Thanksgiving. I look at it as I think that can be another. I think Kansas City covers barely. By touchdown, something like that.
Okay.
But I just look at the problem is
24-17.
Yeah. It's cold. It's getting colder. The passing game cannot, especially up there, against these late months, may not be as effective as they normally would be. And I just think that Green Bay is playing a lot better, even though I personally think they have no shot at all. But I think Green Bay is playing well enough, and they're going to be at home. I think that's one of the ones where you start to see Kansas City gets it, but Green Bay's going to be pesky in that one too. But I take KC by a touchdown.
It's going to be one of those classic games. They're going to show you a whole lot of pictures, a lot of black and white pictures of both of those.
John Facenda start going, and we Patrick Mahomes, like one of those old style things, like the NFL film style stuff. It'll be great.
Absolutely, it's going to be a ton of that, y'all. Yeah. Look forward to it like that. Detroit 4-point favorites at New Orleans. What do you think about that one?
Oh, I think I like Detroit a lot in that because I think they know they well, I'm say it forever. I know that they almost
That's all
there was a
right.
big letdown. It was a big
Yeah.
letdown
Yeah.
against on Thanksgiving. Excuse me, in the game they should have won. So I look, and the Saints, just to me, Derek Carr is being Derek Carr.
Hmm.
You don't ever know which one you're going to get. Detroit, even if they're on the road, Detroit needs this badly because the Vikings, even though they lost, they still have an outside shot of getting this. And I think Detroit still believes they can get that 1 seed. And Dan Campbell's going to have them motivated. And I really I see Detroit coming out and winning this game.
I feel like talk about pesky. I think the Saints are going to be pesky in this one. I think they're going to make they're going to make the Lions work for it if they do beat them.
Really, somebody's going to come out of the South, right? Somebody has to come out the South. And
I mean, by NFL rules, yes, someone a home playoff game. Those are the rules. In fact,
yeah, it's him, and the Cowboys are going to have to go on the road, I think, and that's just asking for somebody's getting blown out. Somebody's getting blown out in that week. So,
it's going to be.
So they have a shot still. So you never know. And I think, but yeah, Detroit's just too good to lose back-to-back weeks like that.
Aaron Rodgers back at practice. I mean, what are you thinking about him deciding to go ahead and go, despite the fact that the Jets are out of it?
I mean, they opened the practice window. It's foolish, in my opinion, to do that. I mean, this is one of the things you're going to need, even though he's got such a stranglehold on this franchise. You got to save him from himself. You're just asking for it to rupture, because if he does it again, you're looking at parts of he can try to rush back like he did, but do it heal up the right way. You're looking into the beginning of next season. So I don't foresee
he's not going to be the same. He's 40.
Yeah, I don't know. Those magic shrooms might help him out, and oh my goodness, the shaman might say that.
Magic shrooms,
yeah. He's not Mario eating those things and growing.
Right.
Nah.
What's the secret? He's the only guy to have ever done any of that stuff. Okay.
Yeah. They need to save him for himself. Like, let him go through this. Activate him if you want to. Put him on a regular roster. But I'm not playing him. I'm just going to, shut it all down. Shut it all down.
And if the Jets let him play, that's why they're jetting. That's why they are.
That's where they are right now. That is,
kind of foolishness.
It's just horrible.
So give me your three AFC and NFC wild card teams so far. Obviously, you're not bound to this, but right now, what it's looking like for you?
I think for me, part of me feels the Texans. I know I picked them to lose. I think the Texans sneak in as that final spot. I wouldn't be surprised if we see for me, the team. I know they had a really good week last week because they fired Matt Canada. But to me, there's something I don't like about the Steelers team. They're offensively. I just think there's still flawed.
It's horrible.
At certain penalties. They're still flawed. Very flawed, and I don't see them for sustaining this success as the year go on. So I can't believe I'm saying this because it's Cleveland, but I think the Cleveland Browns make it because it's really that defense. Jim Schwartz has done a great job with that.
Absolutely, yes.
I think Shane Steichen's going to be in the conversation for Coach of the Year because of his because he will get the Colts to the playoffs, and I'm picking the Houston Texans. I really believe that they'll be the ones out of the AFC. NFC wise, the Cowboys are going to be a wild card. I think they take one of them. See, the problem for me, I look at the West, and I think the West is just, but somebody's going to have to come out of there.
Rams. I've heard some people are saying they're liking the Rams,
and they're the reason why the Eagles didn't clinch. Which the Eagles do not have a playoff spot for the 20th time. The Eagles have not clinched this week. If I see one more person say it, but that's a whole nother story. But
if the Rams lose,
Rams this week they can clinch. This week they can clinch.
Yes.
This week they clinch. They haven't clinched next week. So for the 20 billion people that are on this, ain't even wrong. The NFL even said that. So I have to get that away. So I probably say
they would have told us. I mean, teams don't clinch playoff spots.
It's on their social media
and nobody say anything. It'd be like the best kept secret. in NFL history.
Teams will put on their social media thing like, "Oh my goodness, look at us!" Blah 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 blah. Nah, it's not. But if I
First
had to
team
pick,
clinch, that means something.
yeah, it is. But I'll probably go. You know what? Cowboys, Seahawks. I think it holds chalk. I think Cowboys to 5. I'm holding my nose on this. The Vikings to 6 and the Seahawks 7. I'm holding my nose on that big time. But I can see the Rams. There's scenarios I can see the Rams do making it that way too. All I know is divisional weekend: Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers, Lions. Divisional weekend, which is going to be an amazing week of football. I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah, it is going to be good. What if San Fran comes to the link, 2-point favorites? What are you thinking about that one?
I look at the way these two teams coming, and the biggest thing I think the Eagles have to do is get out and play a lot better in the first half, because since Fran, I believe they've only allowed 2 touchdowns and they've gotten 11 interceptions in the second half. They're a really good second half defensively. I think they get enough pressure on Brock Purdy, and I think the fact that they faced a version of this offense already and had success with the Miami Dolphins, and you had Sean Desai as the defensive analyst for the Seahawks last year. I think that you take a look at that. I think that helps them out. Eagles, it's going to be a close game. One net, we're going to be looking like, here we go again. Call the cardiologist, call whatever doctor you have ready to go. Your heart's going to. But the Eagles are going to come away. It's going to be late. Eagles going to win a 30-28 win and get an important tiebreaker. How about you? What you got?
I got the Eagles 31, San Fran 27. San Fran ends the game with the ball. Darius Slay pick. Falls down. That's it. No run back, no Slay magic. Just fall down, win the game.
Yeah, I love to see James Bradbury get it. If that happened, just a vindication. Oh, I would love to see that, especially if it was covering Debo too. That the vindication he would have, and seeing that, yeah, he would love.
And Byard's looking good. Last week against the Bills, Byard was looking good. I liked the move. I was one of the people. I'm sure in the spring you were coming on, and I was hoping that they would get that it was pricey. They made the move now. He came on last week. I was disappointed at first. He came on now.
Yeah, you feel more comfortable Byard on Kittle. You feel a lot more comfortable with that matchup, especially once the way he covered Kelsey. I feel comfortable enough with him doing that too. So, yeah, I'm waiting for the bootlegs.
Yes.
Yeah, he can cover Kittle. He covered Kittle, and all you have to do is really get a good hit on him, and Kittle will just all of a sudden something's nagging a little bit, or I need to take an extra breaks or extra snaps off. It's just get one good hit on him early on, and it'll make him think. It will make him think. This is MO.
Chris, what's you working on before the game or after the game that we should look out for?
I got a pretty piece about the red zone coming up. I believe it should be tomorrow or something like that for it. But yeah, it's pretty much a lot of stuff's going to be focused on post game on the 49ers, and head to NJ.com. You'll see it. Myself, Bob Brookover from the Enquirer, former Enquirer columnist. He's with us now, and got Caden Steele as well too. So we're set. We're loaded. We're ready to go.
Yeah, and y'all are going for sure. I love to read y'all stuff over there. One of the places that I frequent often. You all hang on. We'll have Omar Ruiz from NFL Network on. Thank you so much for listening, Chris. Always great to have you on the show. Always a great time and insightful. Next time I'll have some more time to kind of pick your brain a little more. Thanks, man.
No worries, man. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Hey, y'all. Today, of course, it's Matt Rodgers on the Honorable Mention podcast. We've got Omar Ruiz from NFL Network. You can catch him on there all the time, literally all the time. Sideline reporting, giving analysis all the time. I know he's a busy guy, but thanks for making time, Omar.
Yeah, no problem, Matt. Always good to be with you, and especially on the eve of December. You know, the games are going to be that much more meaningful now, and teams making the playoff push, and I think it's just going to be an exciting close to the 2023 season, and obviously the playoffs are what it's all about. So, yeah, just a lot to look forward to here the last half of the year.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm just going to jump right into asking you about. I mean, there are a lot of teams, way over half of the teams in the conference are alive, more than alive. I mean, I think one, only a handful of teams potentially have been eliminated. I guess the 1-9 or 1-10. Oh gosh, who has been eliminated, Omar?
No, nobody officially has been eliminated. In fact, the Eagles are the first team that might or that do have a chance to clinch this weekend. If the Eagles win and the Rams lose, that's the simplest formula for the Eagles to clinch a playoff berth this week. There's other scenarios that involve ties and multiple teams, and but no team has officially been eliminated yet. But this week,
that's amazing
clinch. So yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, you kind of look around at Carolina 1-10, Arizona 2-10, the Patriots 2-9. Everybody else is within striking distance of one of these miraculous runs.
Yeah.
That they close the season on a 6-game winning streak or 5-game winning streak, and they sneak their way in at 9-8 or 10-7.
Right.
So, everybody else has maybe hope or a chance, except those few teams I mentioned. But and it makes for, exciting close to the season, and makes those games, like I was talking about, that much more meaningful. So down the stretch, they come, as they say in horse racing,
What will be most interesting is if we get down to the back nine of this. I guess we are on the back nine, but closer to the end of the back nine. Yeah. And a team like Carolina, you brought up Carolina, gets eliminated from wild card contention, but not at all eliminated from the divisional, from having a home playoff game. Fascinating.
Isn't that wild? Like, we've seen that here in the last several years
with the Eagles.
Yeah, they were there a few years ago. I think the NFC South last year, Tom Brady's final season.
Yes.
I want to say they were under 500 and got in, and I think the Seahawks in the beast mode or the beast quake run that year in 2010, they were a losing record and got into the playoffs. And I mean, it's keep hope alive and all part of the the NFL's parity and keeps things exciting throughout the season for teams that even though they may not be having a great season record wise.
So who are your three from the AFC? Obviously you're not bound to it, but at the moment, I mean, what are you thinking?
You kind of look at right now, you got Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Indy in there. I think Shane Steichen has done an amazing job with the Colts. I just don't know if they have enough to sustain and hold on. Cleveland's
defense, Taylor going down.
Yeah, and Cleveland's defense is for real, so I kind of like them sticking around. In Mike Tomlin, I trust. Somehow, some way they continue to find ways to win. So I'll put them in there. And I'm having a hard time counting out Josh Allen and the Bills, especially obviously they lost in Philly last week, but they looked a lot better. They're the most talented team when you look at, Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, being out for the year. Denver obviously has warts and they've fixed a lot of them, but I don't know how much they can sustain after this 5-game winning streak and kind of continue into the playoffs. Houston, the magic of CJ Stroud. I love his style of football. He already is a superstar, it seems, and all the weapons that he has. But, at some point you would expect maybe a rookie,
some regression,
relapse. And so, and these are just excuses, at this point in the season of why they can't. Obviously these teams are capable of. So, but if I had to pick, I'd say Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Buffalo are the wild card teams that get in the AFC.
Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo. Yeah, Cleveland. If they were more, if their record wasn't what it is, because they're already 3 games above 500 with 4 to I'm sorry.
Yeah,
7-4 with 6 to play.
Yeah.
So what do they got to win? 3? They may only need to win 2-3 games to get in now.
And the thing with them is, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback; they still find ways to win.
Right.
And Myles Garrett's a little bit banged up this week, and we'll see. No structural damage, so we'll see how effective he can be. I would imagine he'll still be a dominant force, and as long as that health holds up for them, I think that defense is as good as advertised and capable of getting them into the postseason. Now, once they get there, obviously different story, but kind of when you're looking at which teams are you can count on, I think the Cleveland defense is certainly that. Football is one that
championship caliber defense for sure.
Yeah.
The Eagles will be unbeatable, or the Niners. I mean, the Niners have a good defense, but a lot of teams, if they had the caliber of defense that the Browns are bringing, most teams in the league would be.
Oh yeah,
it's really good. They're really good. What about over in the NFC? Who do you think are the teams that come out?
Okay, well, Dallas for sure. Obviously, they're
head
and shoulders above most teams in the conference, right there at the 5 seed. I think the Minneapolis will run out of miracles at some point. Kevin O'Connell has an amazing job to even keep them in this mix. They obviously lost Justin Jefferson for a significant amount of time. He's going to come back, but playing most of the season at this point without him, and then Kirk Cousins, of course, goes down. For them to even be in the thick of the race, I think is good. I'm gonna throw the Rams in there, and here's why: they're 5-6, and they've won 2 in a row. A lot of that growth and development we've been talking about with them is coming to fruition right before our eyes. I don't think people expected it to happen until next year. But when you look at all those teams jockeying for position in the NFC, they clearly have the best quarterback. Matthew Stafford is head and shoulders above everybody else in that playoff race. And when you look at maybe the third team, I'm going to say Seattle. I think if they can get one of these wins in this juggernaut of a stretch that they have twice against the Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, obviously Cowboys on Thursday, if they're able to get one of those wins, I think they have a chance. I think they do have talent. I think Pete Carroll's a great coach. I think they'll somehow, some way find a way in, kind of like they did last year. I don't know how much damage they do, but if you're looking at the NFC, to me right now, it's Dallas, Seattle, and the Rams.
Yeah, they need Walker back, though.
In a big way. And that's – I don't think we talk about that enough, because you look at them, their opening drive against the Rams a couple weeks ago, they march right down, they score a touchdown. Later in the game, Kenneth Walker gets hurt. And now they've gone like 20 straight possessions without scoring a touchdown. I don't think it's a coincidence with his injury there.
No, he's one of the best young running backs in the league, and pretty soon he may just be one of the take Young off of it. That young man is a really good player. I would love for the Eagles to have someone of his caliber for sure.
Sure. Every team probably at this point,
Absolutely, especially when you pick them in the draft. That's the right way to get them and not reach too high. So, really good player. The NFC West opponents, the 49ers, all-pro linebacker Fred Warner. I'm going to give him his direct quote because I respect it as a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I'm kind of not worried is the wrong adjective, but I'm kind of weirdly placated by this. I really like this comment. He said, I'm over the whole thing last year with the last year's NFC Championship. I know some of our players throughout the season were saying stuff about it. I honestly wish we hadn't. You sit there and make excuse about the whole Brock Purdy situation, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, they beat us. They earned that. You think this kind of takes some of the Bobby Boucher tackling fuel out of the Eagles this week?
No way, Jose. And Fred's right in that when you look at it objectively, and, obviously I was at that game last year in the NFC Championship, and the reason why Brock Purdy was hurt, the reason why Josh Johnson was hurt is because that Philly pass rush was unstoppable. I mean, they set, the record-setting sack numbers throughout the season, and they were coming all night long. It was going to be one of those epic performances by that defense, and the 49ers didn't seem like they were capable of slowing them down. So even if Hassan Reddick doesn't run into Brock Purdy's elbow, I'm not
on that play.
on that play. I don't know, how much effectiveness the 49er offense would have had. Now, obviously, we don't know. Christian McCaffrey almost single-handedly led a touchdown drive, later in the game once Brock went out. But to Fred's point that, they got beat fair and square, and the Eagles did what they had to do and stomp a team without a quarterback, like a good team would do. And so I think, going into this year, at least this regular season matchup, it's going to be, mano-a-mano and, let the best, most physical team win. And I think that's Fred's point. It's like, all the talking that happened in the offseason, even, what happened during the game. Let's go find out who's better this year and how far they've come.
Regular season game of the year, from my perspective, I think you've got the NFL's two best teams at the moment facing off against each other with a lot of vitriol and a lot on the line. This is like football at its best.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, this matchup. I mean, obviously, I think it's the regular season game of the year so far. Like you mentioned, the hype train and everything. But like for me, I've covered Philly, a few times over the last couple of years. Since Jalen Ertz has kind of elevated his game and become that MVP caliber player. I think the 49ers at their best this season has been the best team in the NFL. So like when they've peaked,
played their best. Yeah.
When they played their best, that is the best team in the NFL so far this season. I think Philly has obviously been the more consistent team. Their will to win is unbelievable, but I still think Philly has another gear to get to elevate to. Now is that elevation higher than what the 49ers elevation or what the 49ers have showed so far this year? We'll see. And I think we'll get a lot of those answers on Sunday in that matchup. But it's just fascinating because I think we all think it's going to be, the first of two matchups this season. And the winner of this one will go a long way to determine where that second one might be played.
Absolutely. So talking about teams without their quarterback, previously when we were talking about the Niners and the NFC Championship, Jets now may have a chance in the next few days of getting their quarterback back, who only played 4 downs this year. I mean, what do you think about this whole situation? Are you worried? Are you excited? How would you characterize kind of how what you think about when
it's unreal? I mean, the medical, performance by Aaron Rodgers and his doctors to have him get through to the fact that we're even talking about this here when we're taping in November. From an Achilles injury that happened in September. It is unbelievable. And I think that at 4-7, the Jets need some sort of spark. And I think Aaron Rodgers is showing kind of the leadership that he's displayed, throughout the years. And this is to me, nothing more than that at this point. Now, the actual threat for him to come back may become real as we get closer. Maybe if the Jets can string together a couple wins and truly get back into this playoff hunt. But this certainly is, if you're in that Jets locker room and you're starting to hear the quotes like you heard last year, the offense is extremely frustrated. The defense feels like it might be getting let down, is sort of a galvanizing thought to rally around that if they can just stay in the hunt, if they can stay together, that their all-everything quarterback might be able to play and get them through the playoffs. So, it's an interesting dynamic they have going there and a remarkable feat in science, regardless of whether he comes back or not. I think the fact that he's throwing the football, he's kind of medically cleared to practice, all that kind of stuff. We've seen him walk and all that is incredible in and of itself. And I think at this point, it's a motivational tactic that I think Jets fans hopes actually come to fruition.
If they can get to 6-7, and he just need to win, 3 out of the 4. They need to win the next 2 in a row, or because if you go 1-1 in the next 2, then he's got to go undefeated really to get you into the playoffs. It's
a lot to be determined, but it's fun to talk about. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, get the Jets back in and just in terms of selling tickets and not have everybody on a fire sale to get $14 50-yard line tickets.
Yeah, crazy. They need something.
So speaking about back, any do you think from the outside looking in, any chance Zach Ertz makes his reunion? It seems.
I think we learned long ago you never count out Howie Roseman. when you're talking about players and acquisitions and everything. And yeah, I could totally see that. Now, obviously we're all, huge Dallas Goedert fans, and, he's a great player. And even like the Grant Calcaterras of the world, have shown to be major contributors. So, maybe he would be amenable to, just joining the practice squad and kind of staying involved. And, should they need, some sort of depth down the stretch, he'd be there. So yeah, I could totally see a reunion in Philly for Zach Ertz. And you always worry about the salary cap and what those ramifications might be. But like I said, in how we trust, he always seems to make it happen.
He figures it out. If there is a will, there will be a way. We'll see if there's a will. On whether he gets now. Shaq Leonard, on the other hand, that's an interesting thing. He decided he needed the weekend off. Who do you think he's going to choose here? Which NFC East team?
I think he's going to go to Dallas. I mean, that's just my.
That's
hunch.
what I'm feeling too.
Dan Quinn, probably might be the difference maker there. Quinn has had so many great defenses over the years, and his credibility, Super Bowl, caliber head coach. And if you've ever been around Dan Quinn, I mean, the guy is, just so charismatic and enthusiastic. And, obviously he was the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks when they won the Super Bowl. So he has that, kind of like all energy all the time, like a Pete Carroll. And I could just, see, Shaq, going down there and, visiting and being a part of that, great defense, and Micah Parsons and all that. And, Leighton Vander Esch is out now, kind of thrust right in and be a part of, something special. So that's, to me, the reasons why I think, he'd go to Dallas. But you could give the same argument for that Philly locker room, is a great locker room and guys want to be a part of it and all that. But just, I think the Dan Quinn factor might be the separator from Dallas.
I'm leaning towards, I think if he wanted to be on the Eagles, he at least, we want to join for like the biggest damn game of the year. At least cover the lock, even if you're not going to be active, you don't even dress, just come and be part of the team. Kind of make it, and he said, I'm going to wait, sit out for the weekend. I'm like, okay, it kind of sounds like he wants to wear the star, and that's cool. Good for him.
Yeah. And that also, because they're playing on Thursday, there was no way he was playing for Dallas this weekend. So
that's right.
That kind of, maybe he's tipping his hand there by saying that.
Yep. 10 days rest, have the time to get back.
Yeah.
Do you think the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys win this game. What about you?
Oh, yeah.
The Seahawks game.
I think the Seahawks are hurting. Kenneth Walker, like you mentioned, just a huge blow to that offense. And, they're looking for answers right now. And the way Dallas takes advantage of, lesser caliber opponents, for lack of a better term, and blow people out. I think Seahawks will be hard pressed to go into that environment the way Dak and the Cowboys are playing right now and get that win.
You feeling Denver or Houston?
That's a good one. Man, this is tough, but I'm going to ride that Denver train. I think Russell Wilson, is coming back and playing, like the Russell Wilson of old. And I'm talking about not just Seahawks old, but like Legion of Boom era Seahawks, where like he didn't have to put up big numbers. He would just control the football game, take care of the ball, let the defense, do its thing, hand the ball off and find ways to win. And that's kind of what their mode is right now. And
when do they come back to earth? If they win this one, they'll go to 7-5. I mean, 6-game winning streak. Goodness. I feel like there just has to be some kind of regression to the mean for the Broncos. Yeah, I feel you. There's a lot of momentum there, but goodness. Yeah. 6 in a row
the thing I think about is, remember going into last year, because of the talent on the roster, we all pegged them as Super Bowl dark horses. It was what we all said was a Super Bowl caliber defense. Right. Patrick Surtain and everybody like that. All they needed was, a good offense or a quarterback. Kind of been spinning their wheels there for years since Peyton Manning left. And they just need that good quarterback. And Russell Wilson comes in, and obviously we knew how it kind of everything blew up in 2022. But it's still a lot of those same players. It's still a lot of that same amount of talent. And they've had to kind of figure out Sean Payton's system. I covered them a couple weeks ago in Buffalo on that Monday night game. And, talking to some of the guys there, it was just like, they had to go through some growing pains, figuring everything out with how Sean Payton likes to do things and running the offense and everything. And I think it's just been a remarkable coaching effort by Payton, because remember, they lost to the Jets. Everybody's making fun of the Broncos. They were 1-4 in that point. The next week they lose again to fall to 1-5. And for them to kind of stay together and keep plugging away to make this run, I think is remarkable on Payton's part. And it's not like they're blowing people out. They're just winning by the skin of their teeth. So, that requires a lot of toughness and grit in a football team, which obviously translates in the month of December. So, I'm going to ride with Denver until somebody proves otherwise.
What about Cleveland at the Rams?
This is an interesting one. I think I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think with DTR, having those concussion symptoms from last week, and the status in question there, and as much as I do genuinely believe in the Browns defense, I think the Rams have found a little bit of a formula themselves, and being at home, Kyron Williams coming back, had over 200 yards of offense last week single-handedly, and Matthew Stafford thrown for 4 touchdowns. And the week before that, we saw Matthew Stafford, even though he had a bruised and battered thumb, was able to lead 2 scoring drives in the fourth quarter to win a game they really had no business winning.
Right.
So I think the Rams are going to continue that. I don't think Sean McVay gets enough credit for how good of a coach he is. I think I think what everyone saw when they won the Super Bowl was he was a manager of superstars, which he was and is,
but he's still a genius,
a heck of a football coach in developing players, in developing coaches. We've seen how many.
Look at Puka Nacua.
Who was nowhere. Yes. Shout out Eric Yarber, the wide receivers coach, and help with that development. But, those are the things that you look at McVay, and he's just a flat out great coach, period. And he could do it in a lot of different styles, as he's proving this year.
Kyron Williams. I mean, I didn't expect him to be that good.
No, he was good. I think that was the first time I'd seen him in person, because he was hurt the week before when I saw the Rams against the Seahawks. And you talk about kind of like Kenneth Walker, you kind of mentioned, just how he runs, the style, and God, what a difference.
Nice mix of everything as a running back.
Just a great player.
Kansas City, one of those historic matchups, like I said in the past, they'll have a ton of black and white photos, a lot of cool voiceovers and things like that. What do you think about that one? Yeah,
Super Bowl one. I think the Chiefs, this is their time of year where they kind of find their rhythm. I think they're going to do it against Green Bay. Green Bay obviously has, played better of late. I think their young team is growing up, and they'll be a real threat to make a push here down the stretch. But I like KC and Lambeau.
Not their week, huh?
Yeah, just I think Mahomes is just too tough, and I've been saying probably when I was here in the spring or in the summer that KC's defense is going to be for real.
And
they've proven it the way they've come together, and I think they're going to continue to get better down the stretch here too. So that Kansas City defense, I think, will be a force, and I think. Jordan Love will have his hands full on Sunday.
Detroit is going into New Orleans. What do you think about that one?
Oh, that's the Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell reunion bowl, for both former Saints coaches. And I like Detroit. I think they bounced back after the Thanksgiving loss. I think New Orleans, one of those teams that's searching for answers, trying to figure it out, might be a little late for that. But Detroit, I think, is just too talented. It had a bad day, on Thanksgiving, and I think they are a tough, gritty team. I think we take that aspect of their team for granted sometimes, because Ben Johnson and Jared Goff and that offense have looked so good at times. It seemed like high flying. They're putting a bunch of points on the board. They're a fun team to watch. But I think they are a tough football team, and I think that will help them bounce back and get that win in New Orleans on Sunday.
I'm getting a mixed bag on who's going to win this San Fran game in Philadelphia this week. Even Philadelphia people who are around the city cover the team. Some people are hit or miss about this one. Who do you think wins this game?
Man, that's it. That's a great question. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners go in and do it. in that, obviously they're highly motivated.
Right.
And I think they're going to kind of leave it all out on the field, so to speak. And like I said, I think Philly still needs to elevate. And I don't know. I mean, Philly to me, is probably the Super Bowl favorite given their record and the path, to hosting, would be the determining factor. But I think San Francisco gets this win, and won't mean anything for what the playoff matchup might be. There'll still be a game in front. And Philly could certainly host. I think the home field would mean more in an NFC playoff matchup than I think what it'll be on Sunday. Although the link's going to be rocking, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But I think San Francisco kind of keeps their composure. They figure out a way to kind of keep Brock Purdy clean, and I think Brock Purdy's going to put on a show. I believe that a big performance by him in this game might quiet some of that national disrespect conversation, which I think comes from people that don't watch the games. Because if you watch the games, down in, down out, the throws that he makes and the command of the offense that he has, it's unreal. The guy's, he's putting up perfect passer rating numbers and all this. And, I don't know if you saw that game in Thanksgiving where he puts it in between 4 defenders to Brandon Ayuk for the touchdown. Yeah,
that was beautiful.
Not anybody can do that. I don't care what offense you're running and how many weapons you have to make those throws consistently. He does it game in and game out.
Some of the throws he made in the Seahawks game in the playoffs were sick too, in the back of the end zone and such.
Unbelievable how he leads the guys. He has touch. He makes the throws. So, but of course, it's just like anything else. It's what you do in the big games. It's what you do in the postseason. All that shapes your reputation. So, he'll need to have a big game in this one if to truly shed that label and continue to have big games like that in the postseason.
Who's your favorite for MVP and your dark horse candidate for MVP?
Well, I'll start by going my dark horse because he was my vote maybe 2-3 weeks ago was AJ Brown. I think the run that he went on, especially when Philly was trying to figure it out offensively.
Yes.
I just felt like, they were going to him and that production, that connection.
That was the offense.
That was the offense. And for them to get through, this, obviously they have a first place offense and, first place schedule. And so they're playing, good teams every week, they're NFC champs. And so, they get everybody's best shot. And for AJ Brown to show up that way, especially when everybody knows he's getting the ball in those crunch time moments and still able to make plays, that's the, true performance of a champion caliber player. And I think AJ Brown's that. So he's kind of my dark horse, but then the favorite would be Jalen Hurts. Cause like I said before, that will to win that the Eagles have demonstrated, I think comes from him. And, all that Michael Jordan talk that Nick Sirianni put on him last year. He's showing it. They don't play great. They play a great team or a talented team like Buffalo, and they're able to come back and in the rain. And I don't know, on this show or others, Jalen Hurts was so good last year. I just wondered, other than just being consistent and healthy, how he could improve. But he has improved. The throws he makes with touch and the accuracy and being able to change speeds and all of that is just so impressive.
Lead receivers, help him get the yak, all that.
And so Jalen Hurts, it didn't seem like there was anywhere for him to go because he played at such a high level last year, but he has. And I think because of that, right now he's my MVP.
Some of those picks have been fluky. I know that if you go and look at the box score, he's like 2-1 passing touchdown to interception ratio. If you include all the touchdowns, it's outsized.
Sure, yeah.
Some of these have been tip passes and fluky stuff. It happens to everybody, but everybody go, YouTube, everything's on YouTube. Go and look at what these picks are and tell me, all picks are not created equal.
Yeah.
Omar, when as you know of it now, when can folks watch you throughout the rest of the week and into next week?
All right, we'll be on NFL Insiders tomorrow, which is Friday, December 1st. We're into December. The show with Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport, Mike Garafolo. I'll be one of their guests on Friday, and then Sunday covering the Steelers and Cardinals on game day morning, NFL Network, and on the NFL channel, NFL Plus. all the different platforms that we have previewing Steelers and Cardinals. So should be a busy weekend. I'll be in the Keystone State. I know the entire nation will be watching the Keystone State, but just cross-state in Philadelphia. But it's week 13. It's December, Matt. Let's go, buddy. It's
yes, it is.
It's go time now.
Best time, most wonderful time of the year.
That's it, man.
Well, thank you so much for making time, and thank you all for listening. We had the earlier episode, part of the episode with Chris Franklin, of course, Omar Ruiz from NFL Network. It's been great. See you all soon.